What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to The Real Reality. It's been a really long time since I made my last video, so today I'm gonna make up for it by giving you one of the most important things as far as creation. Now, since you guys are the creators of your own reality, I felt like I should tell you guys how you actually create, right? So, if you guys are probably watching this video, you have done most, if not all, of the following. You have smelled something, you have tasted something, you have seen something, you have touched, and you have heard something, right? Now, where am I going with this? Ultimately, you have used all of your senses. Most of us, do have the privilege of having those senses, and we've used them for so long that we kind of actually take them for granted. We've taken them for granted for such a long time that we actually start to pay more attention to the physical. So what usually happens? Well, you heard something, that thing that made the noise most likely is physical. You tasted something that is physical. Maybe you smelled something that was physical. You touched, of course, something that is physical. So it kind of keeps you in that physical state. And of course, I mean, we're on the planet Earth and things are physical, so we're bound to do that. But us being the creators, we need to understand how we create. So what a lot of people would think is, let's say, if this is our lifetime, right? Or lifeline, or whatever you want to call it. The way that we create is we would have an action, Action will create results, right? True. Cannot argue with that. But what is action? What does action mean? Well, action is something happening or an act of will. So ultimately, some of the things that it's not in our face most of the time, so I don't think a lot of people really pay attention to it. But how did you get to that action? How did you decide to do something? How did you decide to move your finger or punch a wall or do push-ups? Of course, you had a thought about that. So there's actually, before action, because a lot of people think that this is how we create and this is how we interact with life, there's actually two stages prior to action that happen in the creation process. So us viewing things as action creates results and this is how we create things is true to a certain extent, but ultimately it kind of limits us because we're not taking a look at the big picture. So when you look at it this way, where actions are the first things that happen, you kind of think that life happens to you because you're more of a action-based type of being. You think that things happen and you wake up in the morning and life is going to give you a bunch of opportunities or a bunch of obstacles, and what you're going to do is you're going to be your best self and try to maneuver through those obstacles and try to reach those opportunities. Yeah, but that's a really limited way of enjoying life. Now, us being the creators, I think if there's one thing that we want to do best is we want to create, and the only way that we can do that is if we know how to do it. So, without further ado, what is the first thing that you guys think we need to do before we go to any type of action? First, we need to think of it. So, thoughts. Those thoughts, I'll move over to this side so you guys can see better, but the thought is the first thing that has to happen. So, you're going to hear a lot of people, say, think before you do or think before you say. Well, right, but I don't think you can argue with this, but we think a lot. And I wouldn't blame you if you had negative thought every once in a while. So, needless to say, we think all the time. Our brain does not stop. So, let's, for a brief second, imagine a universe, a world, where all of your thoughts that you had, anything that you can possibly think of, appeared instantaneously. That wouldn't be so much fun. I mean, for people like me who think so much, I don't even think I'll have enough space to move around in because of all the things that I would have manifested with all my thoughts. So, the one thing that kind of keeps, slows down the process, I would say, not necessarily, but the middle stage between these two, like I said, there's three, is emotion. Why is this important to notice? Well, there's a lot of thoughts that go through our heads, right? But we don't do all of them. Which ones do we choose to do? The ones that we want to do, the ones that we feel like we need to do, the ones that are necessary for our, let's say, our survival, the instinct or whatnot. But ultimately, it's something that gets this thought to be more than just a thought. So in this case, we need the emotion to kind of drive us. I wouldn't just punch a wall just because I thought of punching the wall. There must be a legitimate reason why I wanted to do that, either to show you something or to teach you something, or I was just angry. Whatever the case is. That emotion can either stop us from the creation process or actually propel it and get it to act even faster. So, what is the problem with people thinking that actions are the first step? Well, let's think of it this way. Hate to use that example, but it's a common one. Let's say you crash your car. You think that somebody just did things, right? Things were just done, and it happened to you. So, I don't know about you guys, I wouldn't be the happiest person out there if I totaled my car. So, what's gonna happen in this scenario is this action is gonna cause a way that you feel about it. Now, this is power of perception. I've made a video on this. You guys should definitely watch it. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna view this event as a negative event. You're not gonna feel the greatest. So, time is gonna pass. Ultimately, that feeling is not gonna be as strong. Maybe it's not even gonna be there. But what is one thing that is gonna be there? It's gonna be our thoughts. We're gonna continue to remember that we crashed a car for longer. So every single time that you remind yourself of you crashing your car, it might bring back that type of feeling of you crashing it. And it's gonna bring that feeling and what do you guys think is gonna happen next? Well, we're going this way anyway, so eventually this will happen again. And this is why some people say the poor get poorer and the rich get richer, right? So this is usually what's going to happen. It's not going to happen instantaneously. I'm not saying that as soon as you feel like this, something's going to happen. But it's going to go down the road. Sometime 10 years from now, 2 months from now, who knows? But it's going to happen. So it's really important that we really notice the first two stages of what's going on inside of our heads. Let's say the mind. The mind is the computer, and your senses are your input, your peripherals. We need to make sure that we control the computer the right way, so we can create the right way. One of the really good examples that I can think of to mention to you guys is one by Wayne Dyer. And what Wayne Dyer says is, he gives an example of, imagine, and when I say this, I want you guys to imagine if you cut a lemon in half, and I give you half the lemon and I tell you to bite on it. Have you imagined that yet? Because every single time that I do, I get this tingling feeling in my jaw, and saliva gets in my mouth, and literally, just because I thought of something that is sour, look at what it made to my body. So you can kind of see, it's a really tiny example of how powerful your thought is, to the point that it can physically affect your body. Now, it goes to a different extent where it's not that simple. It actually solidifies. So over time, those thoughts, the combination of thoughts and emotions, become beliefs. Now, beliefs are just opinions about your reality. Doesn't make them necessarily true, because they're a combination of your thoughts and your emotions. So it's your reality. But understand that beliefs ultimately are going to lead to actions. It's kind of like some religions. They believe in gods and they pray a certain amount of times a day. If you didn't believe, you wouldn't do that, would you? Those beliefs are solidified over a long period of time. So it's important that we know what makes up our beliefs, because it's ultimately going to lead to action. And I just got reminded of this. It came in my mind. I can think of a person that is quite dear to my heart. My mom. Where I come from, lack of money is a daily belief. There is not that many people that are really on top of their stuff. So my mom has acquired that belief from her parents, and my mom still continues to think that she doesn't have enough money, although she gets paid like upwards of $40 an hour. What? How could you? But it doesn't really matter. The technicality doesn't really matter. Ultimately, your beliefs, doesn't matter what your circumstance is, it's going to create the action. Now, that action can be action that you're doing or somebody else is doing to you, ultimately, and doesn't matter what it is, it's going to get to that. And I would kind of guess that there's two types of people watching this. The people that are spiritually inclined and the people that are science-based believers. Well, spiritually inclined people would know exactly what I'm talking about and know exactly that this diagram over here describes the law of attraction. But for the science believers, and just a side note to the science believers, me still being a person that really gets a comforting feeling in being reassured by science that something is true. I like to know that, science has proven it. But for everybody that believes only in science, do be prepared that you're going to be limited in the things that you can explain. An example of, let's say, this example in a medical field would be placebo effect. I'm not trying to throw any ideas out there, but I honestly think that most of the medicine is placebo. Anyways, that's a different topic. But ultimately, beliefs create actions, and beliefs are a combination of thoughts and emotions, and everybody has those. It's all a matter of what's in here that's gonna give you the reality that you live. So if you guys would like to have the best of the best of the best of the best, and the newest car and the newest house or whatnot, whatever you guys want, try this. It's not gonna hurt, I promise. It's not gonna take too much time because you actually do this all the time. Just try to think of positive things, because if this is positive and this is positive, what is the likelihood that this stage will be negative. It's going to be positive, guys. And it is so powerful that I've noticed this multiple times in my personal experience, and I'm still flabbergasted by it. I still don't truly get the full grasp on it, but most of my life, these signs are like this. And when they're like this, I don't think anybody likes it. So, haven't found the actual science behind it, should you say, or at least the diagram behind it, really helps. So I hope it helps you guys out. Try to think of positive things, because ultimately that's going to lead to better things. And if you guys have any examples of how this has helped you, or how you've actually experienced this without even knowing that this is actually how it worked, please let me know. I love to hear success stories. And I also love to hear bad stories, because we can all learn from them. You guys are the best. Have an awesome day, week, month. And remember, ultimately, it's your reality. Like some people say, it's your world and I'm just living in it, right? So, create it the right way. You guys are the best. Bye-bye.